because he's. Hey,
Where
it's
do you do
recording.
where do you do
Keep
improv
going.
at, Joe?
It's at a church today.
Hell yeah.
It's,
What's this like? Is it through a group or a class or just
yeah,
a
it's a group, and we're just practicing. But I feel bad because I haven't made it to like anything in a month between
yeah.
like stand up shows and stuff. So I really want to try and make it today.
No, that
What
makes sense.
group is it? Is it Flamingo City or is it? Or that's
Flamingo
sketch.
City, that's
Sorry,
sketch, but come on, you were in that group.
I was in Flamingo City and Friends, not the official one. Someday
We
I'll
only have
graduate.
we only have so many genres when it comes to comedy. You can't be
Yeah,
confusing the very few that we have,
Well,
improv,
for
sketch,
7 years, all I've done is
aggressively
talk shit
different.
about sketch and improv, and then I go and I'm on a sketch show once, and now I'm in the scene, because it was maybe the most fun I've had all year.
Yeah, it can be fun doing that, especially when you're so used to doing stand up. It's
the
fun
guy
to
that oh sorry,
I
Go
was gonna
no, go
say
for it.
dipping your like toe in and like being like, oh, I'll just do lines as a character rather than being like, I hope you like me. Is like it's definitely a cool and different feeling. I'm
yeah.
terrible at it. I'm the worst actor you'll ever see, so that's why I can't do it.
I don't think I'm good at acting though either. I think it's just I don't know. We didn't really do a real sketch either. We had like a bit, right? Would you
Yeah, it's just
call?
a bit, but like I think I think it's funny because I honestly because I've acted twice, maybe like in a
Mhm.
Tim Danko movie, so it doesn't even really count. But I
Hell
mean, I
yeah.
guess it counts. And I'm
Who's
so
Tim
bad. I think it
Danko?
has to do with that he lives south of Canton,
Cleveland.
like he lives in the
Oh,
middle of
okay.
nowhere. He was like in the scene when Tyler was still in Kent.
Okay.
Um,
Back in
but
the
like
back in my day, yeah.
back in Tyler's day. How long have you been in Chicago now? 5 years?
No, it's way more than that. It's like 8.
How is it eight? I
Holy
I
shit! I
swear
was
I
definitely
had
not
to have
doing comedy.
started when you were still in town.
Um, mm, because I lived in Denver for a short amount of time, and then I just hopped to Chicago. So yeah, it's
For
definitely in the
comedy?
7 or 8. Yeah, I moved to
Oh
Denver to
shit!
do comedy, and then things happened, and then I moved to Chicago, and then I've just been here ever since. Yeah, it's definitely been like 7 or 8 years.
Jeez, because I'm coming up on 7 years of stand up, and I just feel like maybe it was one of those things where like we just got along so quickly that I assumed that you were there that long. Because Tyler would be like, anytime that I had a I'm not drinking or smoking cigarettes weekend, that's when Tyler would show up, and then it would be 3 in the morning at the Zephyr after like some bullshit show on a Monday, and we'd be hammered smoking cigarettes on the back patio. And you're just like, well, fuck. Like, I'm 3 days into this.
That's awesome.
I'm just a helpful guy. What can I say?
He is helpful. But no, you are probably the most, and I don't even know how you have a name to drop for yourself because you're the one that anytime I'm within a half hour from Chicago, I'm like, oh, do you know Tyler Ross? And people are like, yeah, how do you know him? And I was
Yeah,
like,
but there you go. I've just have lived there forever. I've hosted open mics for almost the entire time I lived there. So people just
Holy
know my
shit!
name because they would just like know me from hosting an open mic. And most of the time, people confuse me for my co-host half the time anyway. So I would, I get lucky because there's like 20 different Tylers in the scene. So eventually you'll be like, wait, let me go through which Tyler I think this is. And eventually you'll land on me. Now I'm just more, you can jump to me faster because I have blonde hair. And that's the quickest way to identify me at this point. But I feel honored that people said nice things to you, Ray.
yeah, very nice things. Do you know, unrelated, I wanted to text you this, but then I was like, oh, he'll be on the podcast. So let's do Mike McLean. Do you know him? And do you
Mike,
guys write jokes for each other? Because you guys have very similar, um, like gestures and beats and timings. Because
wait,
I was
what?
watching him on Monday and I was like, oh, this is Tyler Ross, but it's a completely different person.
Interesting. The name's not ringing a bell. Did they say they knew me and then I'm gonna feel like a
No,
jerk? Oh, okay.
I
Well,
just saw him on stage. Maybe it was Mike McLean. I got a picture of the list because
So
I
you
was
just saw a complete stranger and you were like, "Hey, maybe they know each other because they sound alike."
Matt McLean. Sorry.
Yeah, I do. I'm doing his show on
Oh,
Friday.
fuck, they do know each
Okay.
other. Right after I called you out, you were like, let me prove Joe wrong here
No,
real
we
quick.
do.
Fuck.
He's a great guy. I love him so much. So
No,
that's
he's great. Like he was
yeah,
very funny, but
that's
like just
funny, the comparison.
like you're like it's that like I don't want to say every time I try to explain somebody's comedy, it always sounds kind of like a dickish way. Like I told Bill Squire, he's got like a poppy style, like it's like right down the middle, like he's not making anybody mad. Like you have that like very like laid back, like you let people come to you a little bit on it, and it's very like goofy. Like if you're not paying attention, sometimes you'll like miss the point of the joke. And I like
Mhm.
saw his like kind of his like
So bad at
wafering, like
describing.
waffling. Like it would like he's just like very because like the way that you move on stage is not it's like a lava lamp. Like it's not like there's it almost feels like there's no
What?
it's
I've
no
never
point
heard
and it's
that
like
before.
That's
it's
the
very
coolest
like
way to describe somebody
Yeah,
I've
I
ever heard,
might
though. I
steal
was like
that.
immediately jealous of that.
it's like
Wow,
a
I'm gonna
soft
really
blanket mixed with
overthink
a
that.
lava lamp.
Every time I'm on stage from here on out, that's all I'm gonna think of as I'm on stage if I move my body at all. So thank you for giving me a mini like complex about my
Yeah, but it's just very like it's a compliment because it's like very fluid. And I was
Okay.
like, this seems like a Tyler Ross. Like you can tell he's been doing it a while, like very comfortable in
Uh-huh.
like what he's saying kind of way. And I was like, oh, these guys are like have to write together or something.
I
It was
just
very interesting.
I just want to meet somebody now and be like, do you know the lava lamp of Chicago comedy? Tyler Ross.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in posters or something. I need to get someone to draw me like that
Yeah.
now.
It's like
That's
all
hilarious.
wavy.
Gosh, now I have to give you a percentage if I make this into like a shirt or something, and that sucks.
That's actually
No,
how the
that's a free
podcast
one.
makes money. Yeah. We just give
It's consulting. Like we just
Yeah.
consult people. People come on here and go, "Hey, how do you guys make money doing this?" Like we don't, but we help you make money later. So kick us some
Yeah.
cash down the road.
That's so funny. All right, you got a Patreon subscriber right here, you
Fuck
guys.
yes. There's $3.
That's
Oh,
lifetime. $3 per year until one of us dies.
I love that. I'm in.
Hey, Joe, I wanted to know this. This was going to be the question I was going to lead off with for Tyler, but I'm more interested for you because I've been listening to a lot of like older rap music today, and
Oh yeah, dude.
I want to know what your favorite 50 Cent song is.
Oh, I don't really listen to 50 Cent in the club.
Well,
I don't.
nobody actively listens to 50 Cent, but like I just fell into a 50 Cent uh like wormhole today.
Nobody
Also, thank
falls
you
into
for
that.
yes anding my question so much. Like
I did. I said in the
yeah,
club.
that's not a real one. That's not a real answer.
I don't know. I legitimately don't know any 50 Cent. What's his
All
other
right,
song?
5 things, 50 Cent songs, 5 things. Just kidding. I won't make you do that.
I don't even know how to play that game, which is even more embarrassing. I'm really dropping the ball right now.
It's literally in the name. You have to name 5 things in that
Oh,
category.
I remember.
What do you mean? Most of that's the nice thing about improv games. Most of them are like whatever they are, you just say it in the name. You're like, all right, scoot across to each other. And like, what's the point of this game? It's like, I don't know, you scoot across to each other, figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, that's pretty much improv. He's right.
Mine's Many Men, and here's why. Because there's a 21 Savage song that samples it that I really like. So it makes me like the original song when a song gets sampled. I don't know if that makes sense. Like if
It
I hear a
does.
song referenced in another song, I instantly like that song maybe more if it's in a song I like.
Well, because and
What?
I know that exact thing, and I remember why I went down the rabbit hole is
Why?
because there
This
is
is what I want to know.
there's a 20-year-old that sits next to me at work, and she goes, "You ever heard of Young Boy Never Broke Again?" Is the name of this rapper, and I was
No,
like,
I've
"Of
never
course
heard
not."
of
And you
that.
said no, but I have heard of 50 Cent, and that was
No,
it.
no. But she goes,
I love that being the response to that.
she goes, "Listen to No Love," and I start listening to the song by him, and I go,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, this is All the Above by Mano featuring T-Pain. That's what this song is." And she's like, I don't even know what any of those words are. And I was like, well, okay, rewind to 2007 when like the world was about to be really cool. And so, and I was also like 17.
How old is she? 20?
Yeah, she's 20, I think
Does
20,
she
21.
does she remember 9/11?
I think
I
she's
don't
heard
believe
of
so.
it.
Yeah, I'm sure she knows.
She doesn't remember in the club. That was right around the time the towers fell.
Coincidence?
That's why we were going in the club.
Isn't that when that album came out? Was on 9/11?
Yeah. Alan Jackson put out "Where Were You" and 50 put out "In the Club."
When we needed it most, he knew, or why
He
did
knew
he
we
know?
needed it. But like that's like the playlist went from like all the above by Mano, which is just like you just forget how many cool Barack Obama rap lines there were. Like he said, "My new Benz is all white, call it John McCain," and I almost like did that like, oh shit, like in The Office, because I was like, this song was so cool 15 years ago, and then now
Imagine
just
you did do that though.
I wish you would have done that in The Office, because you'd be just playing that song for her and being like, "Whoa!" and she'd be like, "This guy sucks. I'm
like
gonna have to find a
John
job."
McCain's been dead for 5 years or however long. Like she doesn't even know who he is.
That's true. It's like, oh, does she know Megan McCain? And
That's
would they
because
even
she's
know who Megan McCain is?
Meg
I don't.
McCain's
Here's
like
the thing.
on The View,
Gen
right?
Z is wild. Like she just like lives in the middle of nowhere. She has like a new boy. Like just the
That's
way that
all
they
of
talk.
Wisconsin, right?
Well, that's also kind of true. But like
Yeah.
it's the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin. Like I'm kind of close to like the city or whatever, but she's like when you think of like the South, that's what like urban Wisconsin, not urban, what's the other one? Rural Wisconsin is like the South. And she like showed me this picture.
Checks
Hey,
out.
Very
real dick
smart.
move.
Yep, we got
Real
it.
dick move. Asking a question and then answering it before we could guess it.
Sometimes that's just how the brain works. But she like shows me a picture of this house and she's like, "Isn't this house cool?" And there was like a giant cross in the front yard, and I was like, "These people are in the Klan. Like I guarantee you these people are in the Klan." And we Google it, and they're like, it's a historical Klan site, and like this is just like a place that she drives by all the time, and she's like, "I love this house." And I was like, maybe don't tell people that.
How
It's
did
weird
the
that
story come up in context? Sorry, I didn't mean to steamroll you. But where does
No,
the
she
story
goes,
come up? Like,
yeah, because she just
oh, what are you
goes,
having for leftovers? I don't know. Hey, you want to hear something funny about my commute? Like, how did
She
she
was
bring it
a-
up in the conversation?
straight up, she goes, "We drove by this gorgeous house on our way back, like from somewhere." She was like, "We were in the middle of Illinois picking up car
Wait, what
parts." Like
inspired the story is what I'm asking. Like, were you
being
talking?
trapped in an office 40 hours a week. I
Okay, all
don't know.
right, sorry.
Stockholm syndrome.
I just don't talk to people anymore.
I didn't know if you were like, oh, you know what I love to do? I love to go see pumpkin patches. That's what I enjoy. And she's like, you know what I love? Let me tell you about a drive I took the other day. Like, if that's the segue into the story, it's different than if you're like,
I thought he was just setting her up. I thought he was just like, "You see any good Klan houses recently?" And she was like, "I can think of one right off the top of my head."
But no, that's like, it just was randomly like, "Hey, do you want to see this cool house me and my boyfriend drove by?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then it's just giant cross. And I was like, "Oh, like just flippantly," because I was like, "Oh, those people are in the Klan." Because like she lives in the middle of nowhere. There's a giant cross. So
You
like
just
to
said
me,
that first thing.
yeah, like to me, like whatever. Like they're gonna fire me eventually. So I'm so like that's my goal is to get successful enough in comedy and to get fired at the exact same time, so I don't
What
have
was
to
her
give a 2 weeks
response
notice.
to that?
Well, she just giggled and she was like, "I don't think so." And then she looks it up because it like on like the thing, it said like Starbird Ranch or something like that. And I was like, "Let's Google Starbird Ranch." And like 4 things down on Google is that it says it's like a famous Klan location that people still hang out at. And I was like, "All right, well maybe we shouldn't tell anybody about this."
In a way, it's brilliant. I'm gonna start doing that for houses I like. Try and knock down the property value so I can afford it. Every time.
Hey, you could probably hire a company to raise the like Google search rate.
Yeah.
All right, can we just cancel this whole recording because we've had 2 great business ideas in a matter of 15 minutes.
What's the business for this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Plan
you find a
houses.
house, you get like a hacker to go on there and make up a whole bunch of fake old newspaper articles saying a murder happened or
You
that like
just
a
get
racist
a
lived there.
hacker. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
No, you can't do murders because like Gen Z, the murder podcast, that'll put the value up.
Oh, that's true. We got to say
Yeah.
that they got canceled. Like they said something about autistic people, and then like
Now
nobody will
people
want to buy
hate
that house.
torture. Torture. People hate torture.
And I feel like racism is the big one. I don't like the way that sounded
Also-
coming out of my mouth. I don't
Yeah,
like that
that's
at
a
all.
very that's a very that's a very good like bit, like a sound bite to get. Racism's a big one. Just like you run for office someday and they just have that sound bite. They're like, Joe Briggs, what's one of your hobbies? And then they just play racism's a pretty big one.
Mm.
Oh my God.
But hey, Joe Briggs, what famous comedy stuff are you doing this weekend? Like, what's the cool thing that you're up to?
Like this coming weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I know that you do like big comedy gigs all the time and like at very prestigious places. So I just wanted to bring up where you might be doing comedy. Hey, Tyler, real quick before usually we do this in like the promos while I give Joe time to think. Anytime you go back to Cleveland, Joe's a very important person to know
Oh,
there.
fuck off.
He runs a show that used to be an open mic, but
Ooh,
now it's a booked show that
hell
sometimes
yeah.
famous people show up and he can get you on it. He can't get me on it, but I bet you since you're out of town, he could
You're
probably
never
get
in
you on
town when it's happening. Last time Ray was in town, there wasn't a show, and he was like, "Hey, can I do that show?" And I was like, "We don't have one." He was like, "Oh, you just said no, man."
He took it probably really hard for like 3 days, I'm sure.
No, I thought it was very funny because he's like, "Oh, I can start getting you on the Winchester now," and I was like, "What do you mean? It's an open mic. You just show up, you put your name on a fucking list, and you go up." And he's like, "No, not anymore. It's a booked show." And I was like, "Well, I hope if I'm in town, you can give me 5 minutes." Like, I don't know. It's kind of booked ahead. So.
You do one bit with your boy, and he lets you remember it for the rest of your life.
Then I'm doing sketch. All of a sudden, just to get some sort of stage time being in Cleveland, I'm doing sketch in the middle
You
of
had
nowhere.
Are you gonna be home
It
for
was a blast.
Thanksgiving?
I have that week off, but I am not. I have to do a turkey trot for charity because on top of being hilarious and good looking every day, I am also charitable. So it's real tough over here all the time.
You got big
Welcome
old
to the
heart.
Ray Jerks Himself Off podcast.
You'll notice I started cleaning my glasses just now because I don't want to miss any of this. I want to see it all. I want to see it all.
But no, I wanted to talk to Joe's coming up to visit Milwaukee for the first time
That's
ever.
next weekend, right?
I know, but I forgot.
Oh, man, I was like, I'm about to have some real calendar issues.
But he's coming up. We're gonna do a show in Green Bay. So he's coming up, and I have never had to work so hard to get somebody 5 to 7 minutes on a random showcase that nobody's gonna go to in my entire life.
Hey, maybe a million people show up and you don't know.
Maybe Aaron Rodgers shows up, gives everybody COVID.
Yeah, I read today he took some like homeopathic remedy thing, and that's how he tried to be like, well, I'm good. And that was this like slick way. It's like, who do you think some of these people, who do they think they are, you know?
He went to the league to see if they would like be flexible on the COVID rules because he took like whatever ashwagandha. I don't know what it was.
Oh, I thought he was like, "Hey guys, I had a glass of OJ and I'm feeling pretty good now. I think you should let me play."
Well, he tried to do it before the season because like he kept saying he was like immunized and
he told
like,
the board, I can get you the Rodgers rate if you just let this slide.
And then they play the commercial and they're like, secrets out, Aaron. Anybody gets the Rodgers rate. And then this is the first time he was actually pissed about it.
I think Gronk would still be like, oh, can I get that? Like, I can see Gronk's being really into it. When he's not trying to steal, like pretend to be in the military in that one commercial. Does everyone recognize that that's a really weird, have you guys not seen this?
I've seen it. I tweet about it every week that I go update
Hilarious.
USAA still for the military community.
Rob Gronkowski calls the USAA and he's like, I'd like to sign up for the USAA insurance. And they're like, what's your member number for like the military? And he goes, 87, like his jersey number. And they're like, it has to be a longer number. He's like, busted. It's Super Bowl. That's exactly how he says it. Busted. and Super Bowl champion Rob Gronkowski, and I'm not in the military. And it was like, what the fuck are you
I
doing?
hope that's the same, like the inflection and everything. That's the same thing he says after
No,
he
it's
finishes
100%.
making love.
The better one is like 7 minutes later, they'll share the one where they're like actually have a veteran from the military who owns a bakery of some sort now, or like a pizza shop. And he's like, and Rob Gronkowski's like, hey, can you get me in? And he's like, well, were your parents in the military? And he's like, no, but like whatever his excuse is. And he's like, nope, that's what I love about it. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on in these commercials?
He's trying to commit fraud. That's what's fucking happening.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He's
It's
not
really-
troops.
I think in his family, wasn't somebody in his family in the military though? Like, isn't that kind of the thing?
I think you're confusing the fact that there was the Rob Gronkowski cruise that people could take, which made you think he was in the Navy, but he was not. And I'm pretty
Him and the Village People, right? They both like.
I'm pretty sure it was either that or another thing that it didn't sell out the whole boat. So half the like cruise was people there for like the Gronk cruise, and half people just like taking a cruise. So it was just a lot of clashing of like hardcore people drinking with the Gronkowski family and just like nice
Love that.
elderly people like playing shuffleboard or whatever.
That's what we need to do. We need to get successful enough to have a comedy and mushroom cult podcast cruise, like just on like Lake Erie or something.
On ice.
Ooh,
Ooh, we put the boat on skates, baby.
Yeah, you get some rockets, you can shoot that thing right across Lake Erie, I'm pretty sure.
Canada, baby.
And
like
if you prove the
whatever that
concept,
comedy bus
sell
is
it.
in Cleveland, like have our own comedy boat just for a night, and it's just like us and Harrison
No
just
joke.
staring at each other.
Can I tell you this like website I get, like you can get submitted gigs, the thing I got it today, and it's like, hey, we want you to ride in the motor coach as they transfer the team from Rosemont to downtown to Chicago, so you'll be entertaining them while they're in traffic. That's literally what it says on the description for the event. So
What
you'd be
kind of team?
setting up on the moving vehicle. A Chicago sports team is all it says.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
would like Loyola or something like that. Like,
If it's from Rosemont, I think it might be like the Rosemont, the Chicago Dogs are from Rosemont. That would make sense to me.
I hope it's the Bears.
That'd be amazing. I
We're
think
just to
they
like
have a
ride
game
with the
this week.
Bears.
I'd be
Yeah.
stuck with the Bears for like
Dude.
an hour and a half.
Drive by those Brian Urlacher fucking billboards where he has hair all of a sudden.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen those are there's a lot of celebrities they've gotten now to jump on the hair restoration train.
Oh, is
they're just
Urlacher part
all
of
over
it?
Chicago. Oh yeah.
Oh
He's got a
yeah.
lush-
Oh, really?
it's bad news.
Shut
Yeah,
the
Google
fuck
it.
up.
It's
The
bad
billboards-
news. Dude.
The billboards are all just like hair puns galore. It's amazing.
You Google Brian Urlacher, and the third thing is with hair.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
would think that after the Kyle Rittenhouse, like, hey,
Whoa.
I stand with Kyle thing, they might calm down on the billboards. But I feel like they just doubled down and they're like, no, we're going to remind people he's got great hair. And they'll forget about the whole murder thing.
It's bad. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, but
It doesn't look. He looks better bald
he's more confident.
with hair.
It's more
He shouldn't be. He looks way
She
better
likes
bald.
it too.
Well, you know what? Let's get him on the line, add him in the Zoom call, and we can chat this whole thing out, you know?
If we could get
There's
Brian
literally-
Urlacher on this, do you think you'd be on here? Do you think I'd be on here? Like, I would just sit Joe and Brian Urlacher in a room together and watch just magic happen.
Dude, there's literally a photo of him with hair holding a photo of him without hair. And he looks happier in the photo without hair. They picked one where he's beaming. He's radiant. And then him with hair is like, yeah, I'm fucking here. It's real
Like-
sad.
This is the only way I can make money. Putting hair on my head and being the guy for it. That
It's
was my
funny that
only
you said
option.
about like a team bus though, because when I went down to CG's outside of Chicago, I saw a team bus on fire on my way down there.
Oh
and
my
it was
God.
like a
People in it or
girls'
no?
sport. Huh?
Were they in it still?
No, like I'm sure they were in it at some point. But they were like off. They were on the side. Like you can just drive up and you just like see smoke for a while, and you're like, oh shit, like
That's
somebody must be
crazy.
burning trash or something. And then the closer you got, like it was like on the side of the road, and the whole back of the bus is on fire.
Oh
And
my
like
God.
this team of like I don't know if it was volleyball or like field hockey or whatever, but it's like a girls' sports team, like a quarter mile down the street, just standing there like filming their bus on fire.
The most Akron thing I've ever heard you say is that you assume that the smoke was from a trash fire. Like in your mind, you're like, where there's smoke, there's trash fire. Wasn't a bonfire. It was garbage,
No,
baby.
it was on like the highway. So it wasn't like, oh, there's a car on fire. I was just like, oh, somebody just like set something dumb on fire.
Somebody took their trash to the highway, lit it on fire.
Yeah, get out of here.
There's worse places to do it, I guess.
I feel like there's very few times I've driven from Chicago to Ohio where I've been seeing like a random yard with just a big old fire going on
Really?
in it. Oh yeah. That's a marker of a real I'm feeling like I'm almost back like to my house is when I see like somewhere off of like one off the interstates, I can just see a whole bunch of just shit on fire, and you see like children throwing like weird random assorted wood and stuff, or just other garbage. That's a
The fact
very
that it's children's really funny too.
yeah. All ages can set trash on fire.
Are you still taking buses back or do you have a car again?
I have a car now.
It's so much like I don't know. I get why you don't have or you didn't have a car in Chicago because it doesn't make sense. But also like I can't imagine riding a bus back to Ohio. Like
Have you
just
taken?
driving.
Were you like a mega bus guy?
Yeah, I would take it all the time.
Ooh,
I
I've taken. Yeah, those are brutal.
Yeah, they can be bad. I can sleep very easily on those, to be really honest. So it was never a problem for me because I'm right out. Nothing wakes me up throughout those
We
trips. So
the girl I dated in college lived in Chicago, so I took the mega bus from living in Chicago one time, and like we had a stop in Toledo, and then it was supposed to go straight through to Chicago, and like an hour out of Toledo, the bus literally like broke down, and that bus engine caught fire, and so it was like in the middle of December, and we were just on the side of the highway, and then they
That's-
put
And
us
that's
in a
flat land, like the wind had to have been terrible and
yeah.
everything. That's the worst spot.
The worst, it was real cold, and then they put us on another bus and just took us back to Toledo.
oh my
And
god.
they're like, another bus will come for you eventually. And it took me like 12 hours to get to Chicago. It was a nightmare.
Another bus will get you eventually. Have fun in Toledo. I'll say that one
But
time
they said don't leave the station either. Because we were like, hey, like when's the bus coming? I was like, I'll go get Tony Pacos or something. And they were like, we don't know when it's coming, so just hang around.
and there's no dispatch to call. It's not like there's like a 24-hour line where you can be like, I have this problem. Like nothing. There's no one to talk to.
Dude, every time one of those buses pulls into the station, like the employees have to be like, oh, thank God.
Like when ships used to go across the ocean, like back in the day, they're like, "Oh shit, yeah, you made it!" Like solid guys.
I think there's someone that had like a Twitter account that was like megabus accidents. And it was just like pictures of buses on fire and other stuff. My friend was riding in one and they duct taped the escape latch onto the bus so it wouldn't fall off because he's like, we can
Jesus
either wait for
Christ.
another bus or just tape it down and we can keep going. I was like, tape it down. My
What's up?
mom left me at one of those mega buses in Toledo at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. because she was supposed to get me. I call her. I'm like, where you're at? And she's like clearly asleep. And she's like, oh, that's today. And I was like, so I sat in the like Toledo bus station with like a very low phone battery, being like, well, we'll see how long it takes my mom to get here. She was like 45 minutes away. So I'm like, I guess I'll just sit here and wait for her. It was not as bad as waiting for a random bus to show up, but yeah.
But if I think about it, I don't know exactly where that bus station is, but it can't be in the best part of Toledo because there's only, I don't know, 2 good spots of Toledo.
It's by the McDonald's.
I mean, there's 400. It's a city. There's 400 McDonald's.
Not in Toledo.
That's dude, that's my favorite. Anytime, because I'm from like the suburbs of Toledo, so like anytime I would do a show in Toledo,
Wait, really?
I would like, yeah, I'm from Perrysburg. It's like where the
Oh, I
Toledo
know.
Funny Bone is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up. And so like if I got like a Toledo show, just like meeting one of the Toledo guys that like I didn't know because I started comedy in Kent or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, come back to Toledo. If you're a Toledo guy, bring some people." So like a couple like people would show up, whatever. But every time I'd go there, I would text my buddy Jensen, which
Jensen
Tyler
Strauch?
knows Jensen. Yeah,
I
Jensen
do.
Strauch.
She sublet my apartment for a summer.
Oh, yeah, she moved out to Chicago for like a cup of coffee and then went back to Toledo.
I love that you say that. I love that phrase.
It's a great.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah.
But like I'll text her and be like, "Yo, there are no people in this city. Like it's a legit city, but every time I'm in Toledo, there is nobody on the streets, like not even a homeless person. Nobody's outside anywhere. And then you like walk into a business and it's completely full. And I'm like, where did you come from? Like it's almost like what's like Grand Theft Auto or something where you like walk into a place and nobody ever walks in or out. They're just there when you get there.
You're the only person I've ever heard be like, "Look at this shithole. There's not a single homeless person."
Yeah.
No, not even a single like because
like,
the
what
one
a
spot.
tough problem.
Well, there were like it's called Cherry Street Mission. It's like where like homeless people live, and like
In
this
Toledo?
venue was right around the corner from Cherry Street Mission, and there
Is
was
this
not
Toledo?
like, yeah, there's not even
Okay.
like a homeless person outside of it smoking. Like there's nobody on the streets, like not even like a person walking to their car. Like it was just it was like a ghost town. And I had to like text her and be like, "Yo, is this normal?" And she's like, "Yeah, people just don't walk around here anymore." Like, because when I was younger, like you could go downtown and just like walk around to like Promenade Park or like go down by the river or whatever. And they're just like, "Oh no, it's just an inside town now," which makes no sense.
Just
they do have that. They have that open carry law though around the stadium, like where the Mud Hens play.
What? Oh, for drinking.
For booze. For booze. You can't just wave a gun and be like, "Look at them, the Hens are playing." Pop pop.
I think you probably could.
Some hen pops.
Well, that's I used to take the Tarda bus, which is what it is. It's like their local bus.
Wow, shout out.
Yeah, from Perrysburg. If you had Mud Hens tickets, you could take a bus from nice little suburban Perrysburg to the middle of downtown Toledo by yourself as a minor. And then your parents were like, "This is fine. Just take this bus on a half-hour trip and then go to this game and we'll see you later." Like I didn't even have a cell phone. And we would do that all the time. Just take the bus up there.
You turned out fine. You have a podcast now. You're doing great.
Yeah.
You live in Milwaukee, a suburb of Milwaukee.
Yeah. I talked to both of my parents.
It is good.
No,
you live in Waukesha?
Are you going to try to bait me to tell the joke again?
Kind of.
So my favorite comedian that I saw at a show recently, he moved from Illinois. I forget what his name is, like older black dude. And he's like, "I love the towns in Wisconsin. They're either named after like an Indian or like a girl with the best ass. Like you have towns like Oconomowoc and other towns called Waukesha." And I fucking lost my mind because it's Waukesha. And it's just like the dumbest local joke I've ever heard. And I almost quit comedy because I'll never write a joke that good.
It is real funny to me.
That is good. It's so nice when you hear something that like hits you so hard like that too.
God damn.
God damn.
That can I tell you like something similar that was hitting me real hard that I thought was funny?
Yeah.
So we did those like I did that hosting weekend or whatever at Hilarities, and the whole time
brag about it, why don't you?
I knew I was gonna fucking say it. I fucking knew it. I'm done. Unplug it. Or fucking book it. Nice meeting you. We're over. It's done. Sorry for that outburst. You'll never see that again. No, but I get real panicky before shows, and I was like freaking out. And Brendan Ayer was featuring, and he's like the calm. He's like also got a lot of stuff like going on, and he would just like say the like most insane stuff to me, and it was very relaxing. He'd be like, hey, Briggs, you know what I like? You know what I like? He'd say it like 30 times until I said like guess something, and he'd go, no, I like a woman with breasts, and that's it. Like it was so like out of left field that it would just like relax me.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like when you're in your own head before a set and
Yeah,
somebody just comes up and said like somebody that you're fine with doing that, like
yeah.
comes up to you and just says like the most nonsense shit just for you to be like, all right, it's gonna be fine. Like it's like
Mhm.
you're just like, oh, this is how dumb all this is.
I
But
love
then like,
oh, go
oh
ahead.
sorry.
No, go
I
ahead. Go
was,
ahead.
the next day, I'm freaking out again because it's the next day. And he's like, you know what I like? And I'm like, yeah, women with breasts. It's old news. And he goes, no, that's yesterday. No, I don't, that's not it. I go, what do you like? He's like, you know what I like? I just like put my penis in a vagina. I think I really like, and he's like, I think I really like that. It's just like, what the fuck?
I'm a
Very
big
relaxing somehow.
fan of right before someone goes up, someone like a show or something be like, hey, don't be nervous up there. Like I love throwing don't be nervous up there.
Dude, that
It's one of my favorite things to do.
That's
the
my
worst
nightmare.
one is
It's
fucking when people come up to you and are like, hey, don't fuck it up. And it's just
yeah,
like you
Oh,
know what they're doing and they're trying to be funny and just undercut the whole thing. You're like, come on, man. Like you know that's exactly what I'm saying to myself right now.
I also love
100%.
throwing if you know someone hasn't gone up yet, throwing a hey, great setup there. It's like I didn't go. They're like, oh yeah, I was good.
That
I
was
love
my favorite hanging out at
that's
Funny
my
Stop thing. If I was like hosting or like did a guest set and like Chris Harvey was just hanging out in like and I was talking to him by the bar or whatever, and people would come up and be like, "Hey, I really liked your set" or whatever. Like how people talk to you after you're done doing comedy really
yeah.
well. And fucking so then I'd point at Chris Harvey, who's obviously like a giant, and like you would
Uh-huh.
know if he was on stage. And I go, "Oh, how did you feel about his set?" And he didn't go up at all. And they just be like, "Oh yeah, he was great too."
Oh
And
my
it would just
real
be,
god.
good.
it's so funny, dude.
That's
That,
so
that bit doesn't
awkward.
get old. It doesn't get old.
It's the best, especially when he's like, and this is not out of pocket at all. Like he's pushing 400 pounds and he looks like Chris Harvey. So like you would know if Chris Harvey was on stage and
Sure.
just being like, what about him? They're like, oh, yeah, he was good. I don't remember most of it, but I'm sure he was good.
Uh-huh. Wow. I'm sure Chris loved that.
Oh, it's the best. Because he'll do, I mean, he's a fucking terrorist. He'll do shit like that. He's the worst. We would make, near the end of like me living there, we would start making bets on people's sets. Like people that we had seen forever would be
Oh my
like, how long
god.
into this until they get a laugh? Like he would just,
You make
I had a
bets.
notebook with just bets. And we'd keep
Really?
score.
That's so mean, girls. You guys know that, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he would just come up to me and he'd be like, and he's like, all right, how many times are they gonna say this or whatever? And you're just like, well, you know who it is. Like they're
Yeah.
gonna say it
Yeah.
400 times.
Okay, I'm back on board. That's amazing.
Yeah, most of the time it wasn't mean, but like every once in a while, you just be like, how long? Oh, that's what it was. It was like when they were doing that co-feature competition,
Mhm.
and somebody like you're supposed to do 11 to 12 minutes, which is just a nonsense number. And
It's really that's what all of the sets are at the Funny Stop. Literal nonsense numbers with no one
just
timing
stupid.
any shows.
Yeah, and it was Anthony Mayo, who's great. So like, and again, like he only did 9 minutes, but it was a couple years ago, so he was like still newer. And like beforehand, Chris is just in his ear, and he's like, "You don't even have 11 minutes. What are you gonna do
uh,
for 11 minutes?"
oh
He's like,
my
"I got
god.
11 minutes," and we're just like, and just laughing, and he's like being in his ear, and he goes, "All right, over under how long?" And I was like, I bet you he does like 11 and a half. Like I've seen him do it that long. And he's like, oh, I have too, but I'm going to say 9. And he like ended right at 9 minutes. And like we
That's
had to get in an
Really?
wild.
argument with Pete about letting him go through.
Oh my god. Well, those contests are very important and mean a lot. So as long as you take them serious, that's all you can do. You just gotta follow the structure of the contest.
I bombed. I got fucking shown up by Kevin Ross in front of my girlfriend's family. at one
Nice.
of those. Like I ate shit so bad, and he crushed because it was like, I mean, it's Kevin Ross jokes and it's the funny stop, and like
Uh-huh.
nobody cared about my fucking esoteric nonsense, and he's just like just murdering. And then like I
In
have to
fairness,
sit there outside smoking
yeah.
a cigarette with him, and he's like, "That was a good set tonight." And it's like, "Fuck you, man! I hate you so much."
Dude, if you ask the crowd at the Funny Stop, like what adjective would you use to describe a comedy set you want to see? Nobody would say esoteric. They'd give you a noun. They'd be like, is truck an adjective?
Like funny bumper stickers. Is that on somehow? Like a Spencer's gift kind of from your
You ever see
mouth?
those crankshaft comics?
Anybody got any puppets on this show? Because that's really where I'm at, is puppets.
I was just knocked my desk over. I was trying to get
Come on,
comfy.
dude.
Sorry.
It's taking
That was
you
one
this
of the
long to
things.
get comfy.
I've been sitting cross-legged and my foot fell asleep, so I was trying to snake it out.
That makes sense.
You
What
know,
were you
just-
saying, Ray?
I forget, but I was gonna ask when's the next time you're headlining the Funny Stop? Just the club.
Every
where
time I
you're-
talk to Pete, he keeps backing up the date. Like we texted together. I text him now sometimes, be like, "What's up?" And then about dates, and it'd be like April, May. And then I was there like a couple weeks ago. He's like, June, and I'm like, okay. So I have a feeling it's gonna get pushed to July eventually. So we'll
When's
see.
July 4th weekend? That seems like a very like strong Pete move of
That's probably what's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
a
If I
Tyler
could
Ross
I
July 4th
could-
weekend.
predict it
Will,
out.
will he give you like?
First and second.
I mean, can you get? I don't know if you want one necessarily, but could you get like the Thursday or Sunday shows or no?
Maybe, I don't know. Thursday's the crowd work show there now, I
Oh,
believe.
that's right. It
so-
is a crowd work show now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the headliner or whoever the feature is for the weekend usually like closes it with like some bullshit like 15-minute set or something.
Yeah, that's classic Pete setup for the
Could be
week.
you.
I used to not think about it when I was doing those sets, like as like in the contest when there was like 20 of us. But being the headliner for those shows now, when I think about it, sounds almost like, like an obstacle you have to overcome, not like here's a cool gig you could get. Like I feel kind of really bad for all those
It
comics.
sounds
now.
worse than being in the contest.
It does. It really truly does.
But remember taking that contest so seriously until like the 4th time that you got fucked. Like I've never won it, and I'll like sit there and I'll like when I was like in the middle of like caring before I got a weekend there, I would like
Uh-huh.
absolutely crush, and then like somebody would just like bring 10 of their like family or whatever like 2 weeks in a row, and it's like this guy.
That's comedy contest, baby.
I know, but you're
a
like,
numbers
I
game.
like you're just so pissed, and then you're like, oh no, the point of this is to get like a weekend, not to like win the $100 once.
He
It's
gave,
Go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say I won the amateur contest, and I'm pretty sure it's because like Pete.
Brag about it, why don't you?
No, because I won't. Like I had a good set, but like I'm pretty sure, like I walked in the day of it, and Pete was like, "Briggs, I think you can win." And I like, from that point on, I was like, "Oh, he already decided. I just have to go in and do the bare minimum."
You're just doing it to gain Pete's loyalty. You're not really like once he trusts you, it's you don't really need the rest of the contest.
I've
And
still
you
never done a week. I thought if you did the amateur, you get a weekend. I've still never done like a weekend at all.
You just gotta keep calling the office until eventually he calls you back.
Yeah.
That
I'll
sucks.
give you his cell phone number. He won't answer he won't book me, so I'll give his cell phone number out. I don't give a fuck. Like, what's he gonna?
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I was like texting Chris Clem because like Clem
I don't
and
give a
Pete
fuck.
got into it over Twitter.
Subscribe to the Patreon, you get Pete's phone number.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a great deal, honestly.
But Clem and Pete got into it on Twitter, like just because it happens. And I
Uh-huh.
like just like jumped in because Pete said something about like, oh, now all of your gay friends are gonna jump in. So I like jumped in just with like the hands up meme. And he's like, no, you stay out of this. And I was like, well, you said something about his gay friends. Like, I just wanted to jump in and say hello. And
Nice.
like, but like I just texted Chris and I was like, yo, like, and he's like, he was talking about how him and his wife were laughing at it. I was like, what's he gonna do? Book me less? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have
Yeah.
fun with it at this point.
And sometimes that Pete really likes getting razzed too. That's like, he enjoys the roasting. Mostly he tries to do it. It's very funny.
Well,
I
that's
watched
why I
Mike
miss going back
bring
there,
him
or I
on
miss
stage
hanging
one
out there all the
time.
time. But like when I come back in town, he's like nice to me. He's like, "Oh, hey, we miss having you around." I was like, "This isn't what I want when I come back. Like, I want you to be like, I want you to like be Pete. I don't want you to be a nice person."
He was
It's
telling
like-
me about some interview that he got mentioned in. I was like, that's so cool. Yeah, I want to. But if other people go and mention me, then he talks shit about me to these other people. Like everyone that I've sent there, like in the past that's from Chicago or rolled through and mentioned me, they're like, oh, Tyler Ross, blah, 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 whatever he said. But it's just wild.
I always love his insults because they're like barely related to who you are as a person. Like Tyler Ross, his hands don't work, and you're just like, what?
It's like it's always funny. Like it's always the same one though. It'll be like he's calling Chris Clem Hollywood Chris Clem for the longest, and it was just like, what do you even mean? He's like, since you went to Hollywood, he's different, and it's like he's got like a family. Like that's why he's like he just didn't care, and he's like, I don't know, I think he's different. It's like, why don't you just call him like, why don't you just say that he's gay because he moved to Hollywood, dude? Like let's just like if you're gonna do it, do it. We know what you're saying.
Yeah, you're because the other insult that he just does all the time is he'll be like, Ray Roberts in town. He gonna do 20 minutes. How the fuck he gonna do 20? He don't got 5 minutes.
He loves that. Hey, you go up there, do 10. If you get a laugh at 3, you can go down. That's his other favorite. I also tell that to comics all the time. Like now I steal that from P. I'm like, hey, 212, but if you want to stop at 3, you get a big
Go
laugh.
for it. Yeah.
Dude, the best is he'll be like, go up there, do like he'll go, hey, do however long, like we've got time to fill, and then you'll be like 7 minutes in, and you just hear him off stage, just like, somebody light him, get him off stage, he's going too long. It's like you told me to go longer. Like, what are you talking about?
You'll just hear he's killing himself up there. That's probably my favorite.
My favorite is I had to host one of those amateur contests one time, and I literally got off stage, and I walk in the bar, and Pete walks over and goes, "This fucking guy, how long has this fucking guy been on stage?" And I literally go, 20 seconds, and he goes, "Oh fuck," and just walks away.
I honestly wish I had a video camera I was opening for the
So good.
comedy magician. What's his name? The guy who
Gemini?
like got in trouble. Huh?
Gemini?
No, it's Michael Odo, the fucking
Oh,
hypnotist.
I opened for him.
Yeah, it's
Coming
a
back,
great
I
weekend.
think.
It's so funny because you're like on the first show
Yeah,
is
we
like
talked about
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second show you're like, I can't believe that people make money doing this. Like I was like, this is the weirdest thing. But he comes in, it was on Halloween weekend, and like some dude was fucking up the whole program and like didn't like nobody was getting hypnotized or whatever. And since he's a
What?
hypnotist and doesn't
He's
have
so-
an act, he just comes off stage, covers the mic, like it leaves all of the people up on stage for like 5 minutes and is talking to Pete, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And Pete's like, you've been on stage for 10 minutes. You still have like 35 minutes to kill. And he's just like, yeah, what do you want me to do? And he's like, you're going to go finish the show. Like, I wish I had a camera on that because I wanted to be like, I'll go do another 5, I guess. Like, maybe reset everything. But it was just like watching 2 middle-aged men argue about hypnotism and how much
Walking
longer
up
they
there
had
with
to
a
go.
big, hey, you guys remember me? I'm gonna just fill some time real quick. And then we'll figure out what's
so
going
good.
on here. I saw a hypnotist there once when I really early started on, and he just bragged. He's like, "You just make so much money doing this." I'm like, oh, "Okay, I hate you. Like, you're like a snake oil salesman. Get away from me." No, like it was so disgusting.
Well, he's the
Good
one who
reference.
got in trouble, like that little person comic, Wendy, something out of Cincinnati or Dayton. He like slid into her DMs on Facebook and asked her if her pussy worked, and like it was like a whole thing a couple years ago, and like
A real
he had to
Renaissance man, if
unbook
you
him.
will.
Yeah,
what,
he was-
what a weird line to go with,
Hey, yo,
Um,
girl, that pussy work.
yeah,
Is
whatever.
that
All right,
functional? Just checking.
so Joe's got to go do improv, so we'll pimp out dates or whatever.
I have no dates coming up. It's like real weird. I hit a real dry spell, except for Wisconsin.
You have a show in Green Bay, Wisconsin on November 12th.
I said except for Wisconsin.
Oh, sorry.
Whoops. Better luck next time.
Sometimes you're so ready to play defense, you don't even play offense.
That's true.
I don't know
Literally,
what that
Tyler,
means. I don't know where I was going with that.
I had to
Honestly,
message this guy. He'll listen to it. I don't care. I had to message this guy. This is the first time I felt like I might be getting some traction in showbiz. As I was like, this is one of my guys, and I want him on the show. Like, I will cut my time down to give him time. And he's like, nah, don't worry about it. We can give him 5 minutes. Like, he was, and I was like, I'm going to bat because if I can't get my boy 5 minutes in Green Bay, what are we doing this for?
That's what they say. If you can't make it in Green Bay, then you should fucking quit.
You can't make it in Green Bay, kill yourself. That's what I always heard.
Calling in all my favors.
All right.
You can go to whoisrayroberts.com for all my stuff. I have Zanies again this Saturday. That's the only real thing I wanted to say on tape is that I'm really cool, like Joe. Tyler Ross, what do you got coming up?
Friday, you can see me either opening from Pimprov at 10 p.m. at the Chemically Balanced Theater or at Stand Up Logan Square at Surge Billiards at 8:30 earlier that night. So 2 chances on Friday.
Oh, shit. Tyler Ross.
All those places have such cool names.
Move to
They don't
Chicago.
sound real. They sound like movie places.
Chicago does
I'm-
kind of rule. I always said that it's not like a real destination to move for a comedy, and I think I was completely wrong for that. So
I agree. You are wrong.
Yeah.
Not enough
I want everybody to know in my growth as a person, being in there, having one good set made me turn around completely. But awesome. I'm gonna end this. Once I hit end, it's done. So I love both of you. I will see you later, Joe. Have fun at improv.
Everybody.
Tyler, you know to find me. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.